Hey y'all, welcome back to the Herb Lady. I hope you guys are doing good. Welcome back, you guys. I'm so glad you guys are back with me for another episode of the Herb Lady Speaks. This would usually be my Herb of the Month topic, but I will be releasing a separate video for Herb of the Month. Today, we're going to be talking about a pretty hot subject, which is karmic relationships. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have heard the topic on karmic relationships, and it's such a hot topic where everybody always wants to talk about karmic relationships and wonder if they're in a karmic relationship. What meaning does a karmic relationship have? And here at the Herb Lady, we're about to answer all of those questions where we're going to learn how to detect what a karmic relationship looks like for us, how to heal from karmic relationships, and generally how to know when to cut off a karmic relationship. Now, keep in mind, you will never know, you can never have somebody else tell you when it's time for you to cut off a karmic relationship. Usually, that's something that has to come from within you when you know that it's time to cut the ties and sever the ties. Now, remember, if you're doing that from a place of where you're trying to wait until the right time, you just know that that's usually not the best solution to figure out, when it's the right time to let go of a karmic relationship. So, with that being said, you guys, we're going to go ahead and take the magnificent power of the broom and learn how to sweep shit out of our lives instead of sweeping it under the rug, okay? All right. So, going back to the topic at hand, karmic relationships. Now, when I think about the topic of karmic relationships, I usually think about the song Wild Thoughts by Rihanna with DJ Khaled, because even in that song, it's not completely touching on karmic relationships, but that's what it feels like in a karmic. Like every time you look at them, you're just overthrown with like literal passion. Like it's a it's a type of feeling where all logic goes out the window. It's a feeling where you feel like you're losing control, and or you just probably never had control to begin with. Now, karmics kind of touched near and dear on my heart because as of recent, I have I went through a very karmic relationship. And I say very karmic. I know that doesn't make sense, but it was more of an extreme end of a karmic relationship that carried very heavy residual karmic energy from many lifetimes over. So, and just because of the current circumstance right now, I am not completely healed from, nor am I in a place to really go into detail on my experience with my karmic. So, but for those of you guys out there who wonder if you're karmics, who constantly hear the topic of karmics and want to explore a deeper meaning of what karmic means, let's go ahead and get into it, you guys. Now, remember, by no means am I a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I am not a licensed physician in any kind of way. I'm just the herb lady, and I'm here to give you guys some facts on what these certain relationship patterns look like. Okay, so now I have a lot of notes on this, so you guys just bear with me because I'm gonna be reading from my notebook quite a bit, but believe me, these are all notes culminated from my own personal experiences as well as very in-depth research. Okay, all right, so the four questions that we're gonna be asking to about karmic relationships is how to identify a karmic relationship. What is a karmic relationship, which is the first question. The second question is what is relationship karma and how does it affect the relationship? The third question is why do karmic relationships happen? And then the fourth question is how can you heal from and release a karmic relationship? Okay, and usually that fourth question is the hardest question because karmas carry so much heavy energy that a lot of the time people have a lot of difficulty letting go. It can take years for those who have absolutely no knowledge of the fact that they're in a karmic. And for others, it can take a few months or less than a few years, once they catch on to the concept that not only is this a karmic, but it's also deeply, deeply unhealthy for me. Okay? So we're going to answer the first question: what is a karmic relationship? Like I said, this is going to be a very non textbook as well as textbook answer. Non textbook in the sense of based on my personal experiences dealing with a karmic, and then based on my research in researching karmic relationships. So, a karmic relationship is a relationship that is very binding in nature. That means that you and your partner are attracted to each other like a moth to a flame. It's an intense attraction. Like, it's one of those attractions where the minute that you make eye contact with this person, the minute that you all step into each other's conscious energy field, it's almost like you can't stay away from that person, or that person can't stay away from you, or you can't stay away from each other. It's a real struggle to let go or to be apart from them. Um, you often have a sensation of feeling lack of control over yourself when you're around each other. So that could be for both parties. Usually it is for both parties. I will definitely say in karmics, the same energy that you feel a lot of the time is definitely a reciprocal energy from the other party. This is not an unrequited love in any type of way. It's just a relationship where both parties are extremely attracted to one another and cause each other a lot of toxic harm and damage, okay? It's like the equivalent of Harley Quinn and Joker. If you ever see the dynamics of their relationship, that's some dysfunctional shit, okay? Often karmics can be weighed by the life events that occur around you and your karmic partner, and depending on how heavy your karma is, typically it will manifest in how heavy those events are. So with that being said, like, remember, karma is past life energy, past life experiences that were left unresolved. I'm gonna just use me and my karmics as an example. My karmic and I, we have experienced many past lives together. That was one thing that was very easily understood between the both of us without words. And because of the fact that we experienced so many lifetimes and accrued so much karma between one another, in this lifetime, it manifested in very big events that became much bigger than the two of us. So, and like I said, it depends on your karma. It depends, like, this could be a karmic from something you did earlier in this lifetime. You may have had a spouse or a mate that you treated wrong, that you didn't treat right, and now karma's coming back around to teach you those lessons so that you can resolve them in this lifetime, so you're not carrying it on to the next lifetime. Because with each lifetime, it gets harder to resolve, it gets bigger, it has more time to evolve and grow as an energy. So for those type of karmics, it still hurts because it's a lot of the time you're getting back what you put out. But most of the time, the way karmics traditionally work is, before you come into this lifetime, you sign a contract with yourself and with your karmic based on the experiences that you are here to experience. And a lot of the time, what you experience from your karmic may have been what you put your karmic through in a previous lifetime. And that's energy shared between the two of you. And it just, like I said, it depends on how big the karma is. So this relationship is like addictive poison. It is generally, ooh, sorry you guys, I am having trouble reading my own handwriting today. So it's generally a slow and painful process to break away from a karmic partner. Often, for the person experiencing the karma, their partner will typically be a huge narcissist or somewhere on the sociopathic spectrum. So, it's not typical. I mean, it is typical, but it's not all the time. It's like you're either going to, most of the time, you're going to have that karmic partner that you're dealing with because of the energy that you have to receive from them, because it was energy that you put out in a previous lifetime. Um, Often we're getting back what we put out. And sometimes, a lot of the time, as we're going to discuss later on in this video, how karmics are a reflection of ourselves and the points within ourselves that we either have to work on, or the points within ourselves that we know we've been doing extensive work on. So, and a lot of the time, unfortunately, sometimes you're just with a narcissist. Sometimes you're just with a sociopath. Sometimes you're just with a toxic person who just doesn't give a fuck about anybody except themselves. Sometimes it's like that. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's karmic. That's really like the fine line there a lot of the time, because some karmics can be very abusive and be very soul crushing. Other karmics can be just other karmics can be soul wrenching, where it's wrenching at your soul. And then you also have relationships where it's just abusive, and even though karmics, they're still not the right person for you, but you're learning tremendous efforts. I feel like that would be the difference right there. You are learning big lessons from your karmic, and the lesson size, like, once again, it depends on the amount of karma that you guys carry between one another. Now, in an abusive relationship, I feel like, lessons should never have to be learned through abuse. Not ever. Ever. It's not okay. Not ever. Verbal, emotional, sexual, physical, not ever. So, and it's like, if you find yourself in that situation, please seek help for yourself. Even in a karmic, if you're experiencing abuse in your karmic relationship, please seek help. Like, no amount of lessons is worth putting your life, worth putting yourself, worth putting your psyche and your soul at risk. Okay? So, karmics typically carry heavy weight and burdens, but the addictive tendency of the love and over familiarity of the connection often make it difficult for many to overcome and walk away. So here's 5 traits that sum up what a karmic relationship is. The first trait is intense attraction, almost obsession. Like, it's the instant connection. Like I said, you guys, as soon as your conscious energy becomes aware of becomes aware of each other, that instant attraction and connection is just like off the map, and it's really hard to separate yourself from it. There is constant arguments and disagreements, because both karmic partners carry really high energy. Both of them are very strong energetic beings in and of themselves. So, and then when you have strong energetic beings that are meant to go their separate way but are bounded by past life experiences, you're going to get a lot of friction. And the friction between them, I tell you, you will know when you're in a room with 2 karmics and once they start arguing, because their arguments are scary. It's scary to everybody else except them. So, and then also there's going to be triggers. There's lots of childhood and past triggers that are constantly present throughout the relationship. You will find yourself, a lot of inner childhood things, a lot of stuff that you thought you worked through or that you thought you worked on will get kicked up again. It's almost like being put through the test and put through the ringer to see if the things that you thought you worked through or the things that you never worked through are coming back up and being thrown back in your face without the karmic knowing that they're actively throwing that back in your face. Okay, sometimes they do know, but most of the time I would say that they don't know. It just depends, like, on their abuse style. And I know that sounds really very not good, but a lot of the time because in astrology shows a lot how people can have a particular style of abusing others. And with karmic, because this is past life energy, the way that a person carries out abuse, because all of us have abusive tendencies as imperfect beings, and all of us have unhealthy tendencies towards relationship. It's just that with karmic relationships, everything's magnified, everything's bigger than life. So it's like, even they could have the most mild abusive, they could have what's seemingly minor to most people, and it's huge to you. It really touches on deep nerves, deep wounds for you. Okay, so, and then also the relationship is one-sided. Often these relationships take place with one or both partners who possess narcissistic traits, and this can be a switch back and forth. So, both partners could be narcissists, both partners could fall on the sociopathic scale, and both partners can pass the torch back and forth between who's making the relationship about who. It's never an equal balance, give and take. It's always a fight for power, it's always a struggle, and ultimately there's always fear of the relationship ending and how it will end, and that's between both partners. So you guys, just by these 5 traits, well, 6, because I added the 6th trait, it's, as you can see, it's an extremely emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally draining, it's a draining relationship, you guys. It's taxing as hell, and the bigger the ego, the bigger the spirit, the bigger the karma. It's like, let's say you have 2 people who are both equally powerful in spirit, who have possess equally powerful souls, and they both know that they're very powerful, and they both have such huge egos that they can't admit or accept the fact that they are in a karmic. They feel like with the strength of their own shoulders, they can change the course of destiny, of fate, of the contract that they sign. They can renege because they are who they are in this physical, and it doesn't really work like that. Okay, so we're going to get into the second question of why do karmic relationships happen, and we kind of covered some of that in the first question. So karmic relationships often happen as a means to fulfill karma left over from the previous lifetime or a couple lifetimes ago, or even in this current lifetime. And we discussed that how karma, you can take one event, you may have done something to this partner in a past lifetime, a few lifetimes ago, or the recent past lifetime, and now you guys, in order to resolve that energy, have signed the contract that you guys would go through that in this lifetime to resolve that energy, to even out the scale. Okay, it's literally to the tune of your past catching up with you. And I know it sounds messed up, but for a lot of us, unfortunately, we are living in a world where not a lot of people are awakened. And sometimes to go through that awakening, you have to experience a major shift in your life. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, that shift has been happening through karmic relationships. It's bringing on intense karma for them within their relationship, between them and their partner, and then on them personally. So it's like a twofold karma. It's karmic relationship plus your spiritual awakening, and it's a lot, you guys. Okay, and that's okay. You take it one step at a time. So with this karmic energy, it has to catch up with you to make you aware of cycles that you have been repeating, and that is critical, because a lot of the time, like spiritual awakenings can often be the result of something very traumatic happening to us, which forces us to wake up. It forces us to open our eyes, because it's so damn traumatic that it shook us all the way to our core, and it may have destroyed our core. And with that being, in the trauma of going through it, we have to sit there and really reflect on what it is, what patterns, what roads we took to lead up to that. And a lot of the time that happens in the grieving process. In the grieving process of after going through something major, you look back and you think on what it is that you could have did to make it better, what it is you could have did to change it. So you take that opportunity to really look at yourself. Did I what patterns were I following to put me into this situation? And if you notice it's a situation that's been happening over and over and over again, yeah, you do have to do some deeper soul searching there. Um, so, with that being said, making you aware of the cycles you've been repeating, it makes you aware of yourself, and where and how you have contributed to your own toxic repetition. And we're talking about soul searching here because karmics do enough to make you soul search and really look at yourself sideways and really look at yourself honestly without the filter, without the screen, because karmics have a way of getting all the way underneath the surface to make you do that deep reflection. So also, in extreme cases only, karmics will help you fulfill a contract that was meant to be carried out over many lifetimes, often related to carrying massive karmic energy. Now, I would say personally for myself, and my karmic, we have and still are experiencing this energy. And I say still are because, like I said, between the two of us, with it ended up being something that was manifested that was much larger than the two of us. More than likely, it result in being some energy that has to still be resolved in the next lifetime. You guys, by no means, just because I'm on here making this video about karmic relationships, am I perfect? Am I above it, or am I healed from my own personal life experiences? I typically prefer not to share the things that I have not completed yet, because it's still unfolding for me. But I will never pretend like just because I'm going through it or have gone through it and have not completely grown from it that I cannot share the progress that I've made on it so far. So in those going back to those extreme cases, some of the extreme cases, it can be where you guys have shared karmic energy over thousands of lifetimes. It's been a lot of lifetimes together where you guys have just refused to let go. One party's refused to let go of the other party, so the other party gets sucked back in. And a lot of the time that's seen in those extreme cases, and a lot of the time because of the refusal to let go, the energy has become so big. Every time these two even come within the vicinity of each other, the effects of them being together is literally like a boomerang. It's a ripple effect on everyone and everything around them. It's like an explosion, you guys. And it's real deep. It gets really deep with karmics. But also, karmics help you understand yourself better and why you choose the lovers you do. And this is really huge right here. When you can understand yourself and understand your pattern and why you choose the people that you choose to love, you can start to break that down, continuously break it down in order to get to the core of it and to the root of it, so that you can change the cycle of the people that you choose to be with and you choose to love. Karmics also help you to release and heal from trauma and triggers because of the fact that you're being continuously triggered in this karmic relationship. You either get to the point where you get tired of the triggers and you walk away. And most people do. That's usually what happens. But you also get to the point where you get tired of those being triggers and you turn around and you address them. You really look within and you address these triggers. You really feel them, instead of allowing them to take over you every single time. Okay? And karmics also finalize growth with that partner that wasn't achieved in a previous lifetime. Most of the time, this is the case. I will say 95% of the time, this is the case. And that other 5% is those people who are literally hard-headed and have a hard time letting go. And I say hard-headed, I don't mean it derogatory in a derogatory way. I just mean like it's hard for them to release, and it's like, especially in terms of people who knew no better, who this is the only person that they've known lifetime through lifetime through lifetime. So of course when they come around in the next lifetime, it's the only person that stirs their soul, no matter how many soul enriching, no matter how many encounters that they have. If none of them are soul enriching and none of them shine light on their soul, this person who stirs the soul is going to come along and not necessarily even be stirring the soul for the good, but they stirred the soul, they did something to the soul, they touched the soul. So of course you're going to go follow what touches the soul, and what touched your soul may not always be that which is good for you. All right. And karmics, ultimately, for development of your soul and greater peace, ultimately that is the purpose of them. Ultimately you will develop your soul to a point where you have resolved this energy and you have developed a true peace within yourself, because you know what it's like to not be at peace. You know what it's like to have been put in a place where your peace has been robbed of you as a result of being in this karmic. Okay? Ultimately, you have signed a contract to experience this karmic relationship. How long it takes you to learn and accept the lesson is ultimately on you, and depends on how hard or easy it is for you to let go of pain, trauma, and suffering. That's really what it comes down to a lot of the time, is how hard or how easy is it for you to let go. And in parts of letting go is allowing yourself to feel it first. You have to really allow yourself to feel the pain, the trauma, and the suffering that's either been brought on from childhood, from past events in your life, and feel it. Because more than likely what's happened is that you have a culmination of all this energy within you, and with all that pain, trauma, suffering energy that's been within you, all you're pulling towards you is more pain, trauma, and suffering. So you really have to feel that, and you have to release it in love, however which way that would look for you. That's that. So we're going to go into the next question, which is, what is relationship karma and how does it affect the relationship? So with this, we're kind of going to get a little bit abstract here, because we're about to examine the concept of associating karma to a relationship. Because, when we go into the concept of what is karma, who rules karma, where does karma come from, that's a whole different video. That's a whole nother video in and of itself. But when we talk about karma, and when karma meets the relationship, when the karmic energy of two people come together and they butt heads and they come toe to toe, then what happens? Okay. So many relationships experience fluctuation, especially when you have two people or more with massive energy levels who are undergoing tremendous growth and healing. Because tremendous growth and healing requires you to what? Feel pain, feel trauma, feel all of those things that you have been continuously attracting towards you, and to release them. And releasing, for some people, that pain and that trauma can be so big that their releasing process, it's like they can't have people really near them while they're doing the releasing process. So being in a relationship, trying to create that balance while you're trying to heal yourself, it can be hard. It can be really hard, especially, in karmic relationships. So hold on. When healing starts and throughout it, it is not a pretty picture. It's really ugly and comes in layers. Often, the deeper the wound, the more layers it has. So this is when we're talking about those wounds that we carry from the pain and the trauma. So we're going to apply this concept to the relationship. In this lifetime, each partner separately has their multi-layer wounds. And without healing, they come together to create a wounded relationship with multiple layers. So this is how karma gets applied to the relationship. We got two people who are wounded, who have all of their wounds, and all they've really been doing is just kind of carrying that wound on them without addressing it, without feeling it, without healing it, and they've been attracting more and more wounds on them. And then they meet the other person who's basically in the same space, has all these wounds on them, and they decide, okay, well, we're both in the same condition, let's go ahead and be in a relationship together. And they basically combine these wounds to make even greater wounds on each other, and it gets really painful and really heavy. So depending on the energy of each partner and how much past life energy they carry, the relationship takes on layers of past life hurts as well as the hurts in this current life. So not only do you have deep layers of hurt formulated by both partners, but now you have additional past life layers bought into the wound. So, like I said, two people with their massive wounds that they've been carrying around from this lifetime and the last lifetimes, plural, coming together. And then whatever karmic energy they have between them, the karmic is usually formed through the pain. So them doing things to each other as a result of their own pain that they're already carrying, creating that karmic wound. So, that could literally be fresh karmic relationships and old karmic relationships. And old karmic relationships, that familiarity that you feel with them is already the familiar feeling of, that old karma. You already know. Your soul and your body already know. Unfortunately, we have not elevated and ascended high enough yet as a species to really get to the point where we're seeing a lot of twin flames going around. We see a lot of karmics going around. Unfortunately, it just is what it is. So, going back to my point that I'm making here, in unhealthy relationships, the wound is often the main character or the star of the show. So much focus goes onto the wound that this energy of karma manifests because you are telling the universe that the relationship is broken. So first, the universe responds accordingly, and it presents more situations to break the relationship further. If both partners experience awakening, emotional, physical, mental awareness, or heart-centered activation, which is basically your heart chakra activating, the repetition of pain and depth of the wound is no longer the focus. Healing becomes the focus, and if one partner has evolved and the other refuses, often healing occurs for the evolved partner during and after the relationship, because separation and breakup is inevitable due to both energies deciding to split and pursue different directions. Now, this is kind of like, this can be pretty tricky because a lot of the time, this is the part where karmics can take years, because people get lost in the fact that this is a dysfunctional relationship, but I really love this person. They get lost in that. All of that right there. This is dysfunctional, but I love this person. This is dysfunctional, but I still feel like I want to be with this person. I still feel like I can't separate from this person. Why can't I separate from this person? And this is where you're reaffirming that you can't separate from this person. You're telling the universe these messages. The universe is listening, and the universe is bringing you back that energy tenfold. So it makes it even harder, instead of you going within yourself and knowing. And this is where spiritual awakening comes from, because a lot of the time the karmic brings the energy, so much intense energy, that the spiritual awakening can occur, where you're just like, this is not healthy for me, and I am not healthy in this relationship, and this is harming me. I can do better than this. And it's not in the essence of you doing better in the sense of having another partner who treats you better. It's you doing better for yourself in terms of healing yourself and really going within yourself and letting go of everything that is not meant for you. Letting go of this relationship that is hurting you and keeping it pushing. So it's like, and then you reaffirm that energy to the universe, and here the universe helps you grow. It activates your heart chakra. It helps you to get to a place where you can release. And I will say to you that the first feelings of release is anger. You feel a lot of anger. You feel a lot of anger towards yourself. You feel a lot of anger towards your partner. You feel a lot of anger with your entire situation and station in life, but you have to feel it. Feeling it and acknowledging it lets you know that you are in the process of healing. And even like for some people, you know, they gotta go through the feelings, they gotta go through the motions, and they have to really like go through that while still being in the karmic and gradually wean themselves out of the karmic. But they know that that's not what they're going to stay in forever. They are already reaffirming to the universe that this is not going to be their lives. And the universe is working with them. And when they get that final push and they're called to release completely, let go, cut the final cord, that is when you know. That's when you know when it's time to let it go. Okay? So with going back to the subject at hand, with the separation and breakup being inevitable due to both energies deciding to split and pursue different directions, this is often where karma comes into play. Either the karma is evolved enough for both parties to heal together, or the karma demands that both parties split. So one party or both can learn the significant lessons that the relationship has brought to the forefront. The forefront, which is conscious energy. The forefront, when I say forefront, that means conscious energy. Ultimately, this lesson was written in the soul contract. And that's the unique thing about it, is like, not to say that, you know, if you're in an abusive karmic relationship, or you're in a karmic relationship that's really just draining the life out of you, that you should hold on to hope that this partner will heal with you and you guys can absolve karmic energy together. It's possible, but it's very, 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 very rare. And it's not something that I would bank on. You know, it's like you really have to bank on yourself and being able to heal yourself, because ultimately, even though they are your partner, you're not responsible for their healing. They are responsible for that. You know, it's like their own personal karma that they carry with them. It's not your responsibility. You know, ultimately, when things get real and it's time for you to pass on from this lifetime, who is going to answer for you? They can't answer for you, and you cannot answer for them. Okay? So you got to keep that in mind. And I have another note here. It says, shining light on the true workings of each partner in regards to themselves and how the relationship works. So, you know, it's like that once again goes into doing the healing work, where you have to really put a spotlight on the relationship. You have to put a spotlight on the deep, dark underbelly of the relationship that carries all the karma. You have to put a spotlight on all of the wounds that you walked into the relationship with. You have to put a spotlight on all of your partner's wounds that they walked into the relationship with. It's really intense. It's a lot, you guys. So we're gonna go into the last topic here, which is how to effectively heal from and release a karmic relationship. And these are just tips, you guys. Like, you know, this is honestly a process. It's a hell of a process, because karmics are so intense. They're such an intense topic to talk about, and there's a very intense relationship to go through. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be in one. It takes even more to separate yourself from one, because in doing that, you are finally affirming to yourself that you love yourself more than you love pain, more than you love the trauma, more than you love this partner that you feel so damn addicted to. Okay? So, one of the, like, I did do quite a bit of research on this, and one of the points that I did see here is the first point, which was make the determination if it is time to walk away, and if the karmic lesson has been learned, and if the relationship is too toxic. And what I mean by like making the determination if it's time to walk away, You will know when you get to the point where you absolutely must walk away. And hopefully you'll know before your body is telling you, or your mind is telling you, before your body starts breaking down or your mind is start breaking down. If you see spiritual breakdown, mental breakdown, physical, emotional breakdown, any of those breakdowns taking place, more than likely it's time for you to go. Just period, full stop. If you're seeing yourself acquire and accrue damage and you can no longer take it, like you're feeling your internal workings. Like for me, it literally was the cringe factor. You know, it was like my partner and I had certain sexual preferences. I couldn't do those anymore. I couldn't do it. My body just would go blank, go numb. It would not allow me to do it. And, you know, it's like, it's usually things like that. Those are your warning signs letting you know, look, you're reaching critical level, and, you know, you don't want to ignore the warning signs, you guys. So, and that really goes back to my point of observing yourself and the changes the relationship has made on your life in a whole. In very toxic and abusive relationships, this is not an easy process, and even less easier to accept. If you are in this situation and ready to exit, please seek help. If you guys are in really toxic and abusive relationships, please seek help outside of yourselves. You know, go to somebody who really will, you know, help you to be accountable for yourself. And then also determining if the karmic lesson has been learned. If this is a tumultuous relationship, examine the turbulence and what the root and the constant turbulence is by tracing patterns surrounding the turbulence. So a lot of the time that can help, but I feel like it's kind of a catch-22, because, you know, when you're getting to the point where you're starting to show signs that it's taking its toll on you, really the root of the turbulence at that point doesn't matter. You really have to go to yourself. And I know this sounds contradictory as hell because this is what I wrote down, but it's like the turbulence, determining the root of the turbulence between you and that partner is only effective after you have ended the relationship and decided to walk away. Okay? And one of my other points is looking up into the sky and observing the stars in the universe. It may seem irrelevant, but this is huge. Looking up into the sky and observing the stars and observing the universe, observing the world, that's one of the biggest things that allows you to realize there is a whole wide world around you, and that your evolutions and the lessons you're learning is projecting you to your destiny that is bigger than any relationship. You and your destiny and your accomplishments and your goals and the person you are meant to be, the person you are turning into, the person that you are right now, is so much bigger than any relationship. You see a few couples that come together and change the world for the good. They do that shit together. They do awesome work together. But ultimately, they were both individuals, and they still are individuals even in that relationship. And usually the ones that you see change the world more times than not are individuals who come together with their soul group and make changes happen. Okay? And then also expanding on the concept of being free and letting your partner be free, and accepting and respecting yourself in the process. So when you really dive into the point of freedom and what freedom looks like for you and your partner, when you start introducing the concept of being free, whether in the relationship or outside of the relationship, the sense of freedom, the energy of freedom really rides through the relationship. Really bless the relationship with the energy of freedom and love, because it kind of dissipates, it helps to dissipate that fear factor that both karmic partners can hold on to when they're in fear of the relationship ending. It kind of helps to soothe a little bit before the end happens, because a lot of the time, unfortunately, in karmics, the end really does end up being inevitable. And then also, stop trying to control your partner or the outcome of the karmic. And this goes along hand in hand with the freedom. Introduce the concept of freedom and love to the relationship, and watch how it changes your mentality and your partner's mentality. When you let go of fear, when you let go of control, and you embrace freedom and you embrace love. Now, it's going to do one of two things. You're either going to see that, okay, maybe you guys can work through this once again on very, very rare occasions, or you're going to see that freedom and love is going to enable you to walk away because you love yourself enough, you respect yourself enough, and you are free enough in yourself to not tolerate and put up with something that's putting you in a box. Okay? And then never be afraid to let go. If you feel this karmic has run its course and you've learned everything you can, let go. And ask God, ask your ancestors, ask your spirit team to help assist and strengthen your resolve. Count on your friends and family. Ask them to help you to be accountable for yourself and to continue to implement love towards yourself. But all in all, never ever be afraid to let go of something that no longer serves you, of something that's much more toxic for you than it is helpful. And you will know, because your body will tell you, your soul will tell you, your emotions will tell you. You'll know, because physically it always becomes undeniable. The manifestation and the symptoms of the pain that the relationship can cause always ends up being undeniable. You cannot deny it. So my closing point is that karmic relationships are opportunities to learn something about yourself that you never knew before. And sometimes they are to teach you lessons to help you truly see yourself and prevent yourself from staying asleep, you guys. So this was, my little lecture on karmic relationships. I hope you guys learned some interesting things from this video. I will be posting this video as an accompanying link to all of my karmic readings that are coming up for the month of November. We're going to be doing karmic generals as well as karmic love readings for those of you guys out there that think that you're in karmic relationships. Before I get off with you guys real quick, I just want to help give you some herbs and some crystals that you can use, and we're going to discuss these herbs and crystals in greater detail probably closer to December, where I talk about Saturn and karma completely. That's the whole other video that I talked about earlier. Karma in and of itself. We're gonna do a whole topic discussion on that, and on herbs that help to alleviate karma. So some of the herbs that you guys can definitely use is rosemary, hyssop, Solomon seals, valerian, patchouli, cannabis, and garlic. So those herbs are very helpful. Ingesting some garlic, eating some garlic, smoking some weed, burning some patchouli, all of those are very helpful in alleviating heavy karmic energies around you. Also, onyx, obsidian, jet, black diamond, garnet, and tourmaline are very helpful. These stones are very dark in color. Karma is ruled by Saturn. Saturn, he is a planet, a god who likes all things dark, including dark melanated skin. So, it's like really working with these herbs that are astringent in odor, and also working with these stones that are very dark in color can really help to alleviate heavy energies revolving around karma. So you guys be safe out here. Please follow me on Instagram. Please give me a thumbs up on this video. Let me know what you thought about it. Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you have any personal experiences with your karmics that you would like to share, please let me know. I would love to hear personal stories. Also, if you guys want to book a personal reading with me, check out my Squarespace page. I may be opening up my page to do natal chart readings, but you guys, I'm still very new to it. Like, not very new. I've been doing it for a few years, but I'm not as solid in it as I would like to be. But if you guys would like to check that out, I might open it up and maybe do some natal chart readings for like $10 because I'm still new to it. So you guys take care. Have a good night. Happy Halloween. Take care of yourselves. Rest, relax, drink some water, mind your own fucking business. Because minding your business is a form of self care too. I love you guys. I love you guys so, so much. Thank you for your following. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything, you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Follow me at the Herb Lady. Ashe.